You're listening to Leadership Powered by Common Sense with your host, Doug Thorpe. Here's Doug.
Hello again, everyone. This is Leadership Powered by Common Sense. I'm your host, Doug Thorpe, and today is going to be another episode where we are visiting with a person who has left a corporate job and started the entrepreneur's journey. We're going to talk about his work and what he's been doing. His name is Zach Matthews. And Zach, welcome to the show.
Doug, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to dive into a little talk about intermittent fasting and some entrepreneurship.
I think that'd be great. So before we get into all that, I do want you to share a little bit about your journey. Zach had a tour of duty in the NFL, and I'll let him elaborate on what that was about.
Yeah. So in college, I majored in sports management, and so was a ticket salesman for a long time, doing like premium sales and group outings, season tickets, all that. So I got my job. My goal was always to make it to the NFL and do that for an NFL team, and then ended up doing that for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So was doing that for, just trying to prove myself and build my book of business, as your listeners will no doubt understand. And so doing that and just trying to cut my teeth and kind of, like I said, establish myself and prove myself and climb those sales, the sales board. I looked back one day, a couple months into the job, and realized, you know what? I've gained a ton of weight, and I'm no longer in shape. I'm no longer in shape. I'm A shape, as I like to say it. So so that sent me down this long path of trying to figure out ways to lose it. I'd always been a student athlete, so I never had to worry about maintaining exercise outside of like practice and stuff. So that was a whole nother can of worms that I had to open up and realize you got to be intentional about it. So long story short, tried several different workout programs, different fad diets that were hot at the time. And actually one of my sales managers was telling me about intermittent fasting. And so, I thought to myself, you know what, I'll learn a little bit more about that tonight when I go home from work. And fast forward to staying up the whole night, just learning everything I could about it. Loved the idea. Tried it the next morning. And then 90 days later, I lost 20 pounds. So I've been doing it ever since. It's helped me, kind of adjust to many different seasons of life. I've been, since I started intermittent fasting, I've been a copywriter. I've started a business, so it's been great. It's been the one constant. I like to say, other than my marriage to my wife, it's the longest relationship I've had.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So let me just dive in a little bit. So you think your weight gain was attributed to the lifestyle you were leading in your day job with the Bucks? I mean,
yeah, I think it had more to do with just the sedentary lifestyle. Like I said, I'd always been a student athlete, so naturally when you're working on perfecting your craft, you're practicing, you're burning calories that way. It is a workout, and so when you're harnessing all that competition, that and that fire, and you're compartmentalizing that and putting that and channeling that into sales, that doesn't correlate to many calories burned. You know what I mean? So you got to find different ways to be more intentional with your nutrition and the way you're kind of making sure that you're maintaining or working towards the health goals that you have.
Yeah, it's unfortunate our brains don't burn that many calories. Our brains are pretty efficient machines. So
they are.
You can get a lot accomplished, but you can't burn a whole lot of calories doing it.
That's exactly right. And now that there's another point to that. I mean, the whole willpower thing. I mean, most of us just don't feel like working out at the end of the day sounds like it's like the last thing you want to do, because you've exhausted yourself mentally. At work, trying to build a business or, generate sales, whatever it is, whatever your day consisted of. The last thing we want to do is work out or worry about what we're eating. So, it's just trying to find the easiest way to establish a routine that can help you, like I said, lose weight or, whatever it is you're looking to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the word intentional. And anything you said about, we talk in terms of goals and objectives. But the reality is the only way to get there is to be intentional day by
Right.
day in the choices you make to serve that end goal. And the same is true in getting business accomplished, but as well as health and fitness and all of those kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree 100%. And I think another aspect of that is like being intentional and consistent. You always talk about when you're building a business, like consistency, like it's just part of what, it's just something you have to do. And I think that extends beyond business. I think that's, for our personal goals and our health goals as well. I mean, consistency breeds the results that we're looking for.
So, what does your business look like today? What all are you doing for the world in everything you do?
Yeah, so Fast and Focus, it's a coaching and content brand. So it's basically the whole idea of Fast and Focus is to use intermittent fasting as a framework, just like kind of it lays the foundation for whatever you're hoping to do. Whether that's, like I said, I've talked about maintaining your current weight a few times, but I would have ventured to guess that most of your listeners could feel like they could lose a couple pounds, or maybe they've wanted to get a better physique. It can be used for that as well. It can also, most people don't realize this, but intermittent fasting can be used to build muscle too. So that's a common fallacy regarding it. It's just about, we keep going back to the word intentional. I'll use it again. I mean, you have to be intentional about the way you're using your nutrition and your exercise, because that's ultimately going to dictate what your results are. But I'm sorry, I'm kind of beating around your question here, but Fast and Focus is coaching and content centered around that. It uses intermittent fasting as the framework, but really it's more about helping people understand, okay, especially entrepreneurs. I mean, we build big businesses. It consumes a good portion of our day, a good portion of our week, and because of, the focus of being on generating more revenue and scaling the business, most of our personal goals, they kind of get put on the back burner, especially when you got family to worry about as well. So intermittent fasting can help you kind of implement a routine that's just kind of complementing your day anyways. It's not asking you to disrupt everything that you're doing. It's just, it's kind of, it almost parallels the modern workday. And I think it works really well. So that's what Fast and Focus is kind of centered around. I do some one-on-one coaching for that. I generate, like I've made a couple ebooks, just kind of helping people understand how they can do intermittent fasting step by step. And then, I plan to have some masterminds and boot camps down the line too. So yeah, coaching and content.
Yeah, well, I like that. So, just for clarity's sake, and to help some listeners who maybe have heard about it but never studied it, can you walk through just a basic framework of how the intermittent fast is applied to daily habits?
Yeah, of course. So here with us at Fast and Focus, we focus on, there are a couple of different methods that you'll find out there. And if you Google intermittent fasting methods, you might be there all night learning about the different ones. There's countless versions, some more outrageous than the next. But here we focus solely on the 16-8 method. That means that you're fasting for 16 hours in a 24-hour block, and you have an 8-hour window to consume all your calories that day. Now what that looks like as far as 9 to 5, you're going to be fasting up until noon. Generally, you're going to be fasting until noon, and then your eating window goes from noon to 8 that night. And the reason for that is because it, like I said, it complements the modern workday. So typically, the 1 hour or 30 minutes that we set aside for ourselves as business owners and entrepreneurs is a lunch break, typically around noon or 1 o'clock. Although that's not always the case. And so the 12 to 8 eating window kind of, it just helps kind of naturally implement that. Most entrepreneurs I've talked to, they're already saying they're like, I don't eat breakfast already. I mean, does that mean I'm already intermittent fasting? And I'm like, not necessarily. You got to be, there's a little bit more to it than that. But The 16-8 method, it's intentional. There's that word again, because the studies have shown that it takes anywhere between 14 to 18 hours for our bodies to hit what's called ketosis. And that's when your body's eating away at your fat that's stored in your body rather than eating, glucose that's stored. So it's that can help you kind of get that leaner physique that we're all looking for. And so the 16-8 method is perfect for that because 16 hours is that sweet spot between 14 hours and 18 hours. Not to get too in the weeds, but so that's kind of how it can complement the modern workday. Is just it kind of works out perfectly with you eat lunch during your lunch break, and then around the time you get home, you have your other big meal, i.e. dinner. And then you close your eating window at 8 o'clock, maybe consume like a nice protein drink or a healthy snack during that time. And then you don't have to worry about it until the noon that next day.
And then the extending that window to like 8 p.m. can accommodate those that have an obligation to go out for some kind of dinner with either business or friends or whatever. And whereas if you're starting your 8 hours earlier in the day, like those that I'm going to show my age, I'm the generation that was told you got to eat a good breakfast,
Yeah.
So, well, if you were still going to school, that meant you ate breakfast around 7 a.m., 6:30 to 7, and then you're eating the rest of the day. And then if you still have that 6 o'clock p.m. dinner appointment, you'll never get into that 14-hour ketosis window.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's still something I'm working with my clients, those that have just grown up. I mean, you're not going to spend 40, 50 years of your life eating breakfast and then, it just come natural to you to just stop it, but what I like to encourage people with is that breakfast literally means to break your fast. So, if it is in the morning for you, that's great. But, if you're trying to use intermittent fasting to lose weight and get, shred a little more fat, then you can break your fast a little later in the day. And to your point, I mean, those that, we have business meetings later in the day. We have, we want to take clients out to dinner, or we want to treat, our colleagues or our employees to a later dinner. Obviously that might border on the, and this is the most common question I get, is that going to affect my eating window if I go past it? And my answer is you can always flex that 8 hours a little bit. So say, you have a dinner outing with your employees that night or with clients that night around 6, you think it's going to take about 3 hours. So you're not going to get done until around 9. You could just flex that 8 hour, kind of shift it down 1 hour later. So it's 1 to 9 that specific night. You're still getting that 14 to 16 hours of fasting between that and when you eat the next day. So it's incredibly flexible too. I mean, that's another benefit of using it kind of as the framework, if you will, for your diet.
And what about the actual food that you are consuming in the 8 hour window? Is there program guidance that you've got for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. We teach our clients how to implement more whole foods. So we tend to lean more towards like a paleo diet. So more emphasis on meat and breaking down the macronutrients. So basically, long story short, we just kind of encourage people to avoid processed foods, except for like we do allow cheat meals and cheat days. So that's when you can kind of consume your processed foods. But other than that, you want to focus on our rule is if it has a mother or grew in the ground, you can eat it. But if not, then we want to stay away from it. So it's just kind of educating people on that. That's one of the biggest hurdles that I come across is just is hamburger healthier? Is that a whole food? Can I still eat that? It's like, well, ideally no. And I could go off on a number of reasons why that is, but I won't do it here. But yeah, just to focus on whole foods and kind of helping people understand how the macronutrients affect your progress.
I worked with a guy that was in the fitness realm, and one of his teachings was the fact that modern food is fundamentally created in the laboratory. And
Yes.
the laboratory technicians, through all their studies, have convinced us that there are, 5 elements that make food taste good and be exciting. I think it's sweet, salty, texture, crunchy, creamy, and there's a fifth one, sweet salt. I don't know, but he said if you think about it, a lot of the common snack foods have 2 or more of those elements mixed
Yeah.
into it.
Oh yeah.
And that's why we get hooked on it, because it's those 5 things that spark our taste buds and get that part of our brain excited and motivated.
Absolutely. Yeah, your brain gets such a spike from the dopamine hit on sugar and salt. Even if you can't taste the sugar in some things, it's there, and it's there strategically, and your brain's getting that dopamine hit that it wants, and so it's going to go back to it. It's going to say, "Hey, let's eat that again." So that's another side of what I do, is just helping people understand eating habits and the kind of the psychological side of our eating that we're not even aware of.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Zach, I tell you what, this has been great, man. We're going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to dig a little more into the journey to get your business up and running, and some of the choices you made for that. So hang with us, folks. We'll be right back.
Business is all about solving complex problems as fast as you can create them. Become the best problem solver by leading others to greatness too. And the first step is going to DougThorpe.com. Doug Thorpe is known globally for coaching entrepreneurs and business leaders, improving their performance and the work output of everyone surrounding them. You can find health, wealth, and happiness by learning to lead others to health, wealth, and happiness. Go to DougThorpe.com now and order Doug's books or hire him to coach your managers. That's Doug, THORPE.com.
Well, we're back, and thank you for hanging with us. This is Leadership Powered by Common Sense. I'm Doug Thorpe, and today I'm visiting with Zach Matthews. As we said in the first half, Zach came out of school, was in sports management, and spent a little time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and but has pivoted and started his own business. So I want to spend the second half here talking about the real, maybe call it nuts and bolts of the business. So Zach, when you got your idea to go down this journey for setting up your info business with the fasting and the fitness coaching,
Mm-hmm.
what were some of the early questions you had in your own mind about what it meant to set up a business?
I think the biggest thing was, obviously that voice inside. Do people want this? Is there a need for this out there? And really, I just kept going back to how can I connect, like in my target customers' mind, which is entrepreneurs and business owners. How can I kind of connect the dots for them to see, hey, this intermittent fasting guy is kind of my answer. And so, it really is just kind of attached around burning fat and losing weight, because if I can help people kind of see that, hey, their health goals are attached to just getting in a better shape. And, especially my target client being entrepreneurs, they're the face of the franchise. And, they've, like I said, before we hit the break, they have to put their personal goals to the side oftentimes because they're so focused on their business and their family, and rightly so. But, it's okay to have a little me time too. And so, the coaching, it was really just to help provide people the accountability and the tough love that they need. I mean, there are so many habits that we form throughout the day. I mean, as long as it hits the habit loop, which is a cue or routine and a reward, your brain is just establishing that in itself, because that way it doesn't have to think about it the next couple of times that you do it. And so that's a big topic for me to tackle, and it's just kind of helping people see that, hey, not only this guy isn't just promising that I'm going to lose X number of pounds in X number of days, he's helping me kind of break down the mindset, the habits, the routines that I've had, and how to make them healthier and how to live a healthier lifestyle. But that was the biggest question on the offset. Do people really want this? Do they see the value in this? And I've come a long way in making my message clear, but at first, even I wasn't sure of what that looked like.
So, was there a particular approach or business model that you kind of migrated toward or copied from somebody to get this thing stood up and running?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan, big follower of Dan Miller, who wrote 48 Days to the Work You Love, and so he's I've been listening to his podcast for years, and he always talks about this entrepreneurial spirit, and just telling people like, hey, if you got that, that's a gift. And so I naturally just kind of gravitated towards him to kind of see how he was doing his thing, and maybe if I could build off that, because as most of us know, if you write a book, you're lucky if you make over $1,000 off of it or something like that. But if you can build, other things around that, consistent revenue and, residual and, as well as just premium products, then you've got a business model that's sustainable. So it's all about just, that's where the coaching and content comes in, because the content is more evergreen. And so people are always going to be buying it, and they're always going to be, looking for those answers that are in my ebooks and my online courses and my boot camps and stuff like that with, and then I can get a little creative with, the way I take the coaching, whether that is, group coaching moving forward, one-on-one, which is what I do now. I do mostly one-on-one, but I'm looking to scale that a bit in the next couple months here, just so that I can help more people. But that's that's the biggest thing, is just the coaching being the kind of the oncoming revenue, and then the content being kind of the steady flowing revenue that I can build a base on, and then the coaching being something on top of it.
So, do you have I guess I would call it a product stack? Is there an entry point that somebody buys a simple book or a package or a program, and then there's opportunity to, ramp up from there?
Yeah, I do have a little funnel. So people would ideally they'd start by, downloading my free online ebook, which is How to Start Intermittent Fasting Today. And I can send you that link so you can put it in the show notes if people are interested in that.
Sure.
Actually, really all they need to do is just, sorry for the shameless plug here, but they just need to go to my website, fastinfocus.com, and they can get that. Just scroll down to the bottom. It's right there. But that's, they get the free ebook. And then from there, I have what's called the DIY intermittent fasting guidebook pack. So I sell that. That runs for $20. So that's kind of the entry. It's almost like if you like it type thing, then then you can purchase more information in the guidebook. It's just way more extensive, as you might imagine. And then from there, it's about the coaching and, getting into, I have 3 different coaching packages to kind of meet people where they're at. Kind of like a good, better, best model, if you will. One is the 2 of them are 30-day programs. The other one's 90-day program, just for those that want to get more extensive with it. But, that's kind of my funnel right now, is free, low price entry point, and then, coaching if they need more direction.
Yeah. And, I'm going to highlight that to those that might be listening that are dabbling with the idea of, what could they do with what they know, what their experience and background is. And we're in a very unique time, I think, in modern business. There's a lot of opportunity where people are still hungry for good, reliable solutions to pain points they've got in their life, whether it's
Right.
weight control, financial management, storage. I mean, I've seen folks on Instagram and TikTok and places like that are doing wonderful with, clear the clutter out of your house, all those kind of random thoughts and ideas. But nonetheless, it's things people need help with. And
Yeah.
if you've got a talent or gift in any of those kind of areas, you might just have your next business sitting there waiting for you. And
Yeah.
it's certainly not easy. So if I may, Zach, let me do you do any kind of paid advertising on any of the social media channels?
No, currently I don't. So LinkedIn is my I'm got a little lucky when well, I shouldn't say lucky, but I've had LinkedIn for a long time, and my ventures throughout the NFL and NHL, and just kind of my past careers. I had a pretty good following, which was around 4,500 deep when I started. So, and it just so happens that my target market, 30 to 50-year-old entrepreneurs are naturally on LinkedIn. So that is my main source, and just pushing, consistent content that provides value, that answers questions for them, like you said, answers their pain points, and just kind of lines me up as the expert, if they need any more help with that subject, that being intermittent fasting or weight loss in general.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, it's it's that a new frontier in the business world, I think. And I've started hearing people joke the fact that young kids now coming out of school, they think their career ambition is to be an influencer. That's their
Right.
number one thing. But the interesting part is there's only a few of those that are going to ever make it as pure entertainment value, on the social media channels. But people that have real life experiences and backgrounds with solutions to pain points, that is where I think the value really is.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think to touch on that, I think, if you're an influencer, it's kind of, it almost comes off as like me, what's in it for me. This is what I'm doing. Look at me. And people see through that a little bit. They may buy the products that you're wearing because it looks good on you, or they may be interested in the whatever it is that you've got affiliate marketing for. But when you're an entrepreneur and you've got the calling that we have, which is to help people, that provides way more value for people. So if listeners out there do have a product that they're kind of tossing around, they have a topic that they think they could really help people benefit from, that's the difference between us and just the run-of-the-mill influencers, that we genuinely care about people. I mean, I could tell you, since I started this, the money is nice, don't get me wrong, but what's really helping me and keeping me going and motivating me is the texts I get from clients that are saying, hey, stepped on the scale, lost 7 pounds, and since we started this thing, or hey, I just talking about their eating routines. And one guy, I actually got a text right before this that one of my clients was telling me that he found himself reaching for the chip bag last night while he was watching Sunday Night Football, and caught himself and stopped himself and drank a glass of water instead. It's like, you would have never done that, a couple of weeks ago. So it's just like that change that you can provide in people's lives. I think that's the biggest difference. And that's, in my opinion, the biggest benefit too.
Oh, I agree with you, and I have the same experience, and with my coaching clients, although mine is not as quite as possibly visible as a weight change might be. But I was in a session this morning with a client, corporate executive that's going through some transition at work and some things, and we talked through some. Really, it was about mindset ideas.
Yeah.
And shifting a view and sort of reframing a challenge that they had going on, and having that, as we call it in executive coaching, that aha moment of saying,
Yeah.
oh, that's what I can do. That's the possibility. That's what I can go for. And in my realm, the fact that I'm dealing with people that have leadership influence in organizations, if they can up their leadership game and get one step further away from being a bad boss, that's a win.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
So that's the joy of being able to do what I do. And my own work comes from years of experience on the front line doing that, and being a business leader and executive, but now trying to help others with their situations as well. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, it is.
So repeat for us again, Zach, your website link, and we will put it in the show notes to repeat to everybody, but say it again.
Yeah, they can just type in fastinfocus.com. So it's fast. The letter N is in Nancy, focus.com. That's obviously the homepage, and then you just scroll down to the bottom and they can sign up. You can't miss it. My free ebook, How to Start Intermittent Fasting Today. It'll teach you 3 steps that you can use to intermittent fast starting tonight. And then, if you like what you see there, then maybe consider purchasing the guidebook, or you can just follow me on LinkedIn, which is also Fast and Focus. So either way, happy to help.
Great. And we will have all that information in the show notes with live links to go there if you're interested and didn't catch that as we were talking here. But Zach, I really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing with everybody, and thank you for your journey, and congratulations on the progress you've made.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks so much, Doug. It was fun.
Yeah. And folks, I'm going to remind you, as I often do, if you're listening on your favorite streaming channel, we've got this show over on YouTube, channel by the same name. It's under Leadership Powered by Common Sense, or you can put my name in there and check it out. But you'll see the video that Zach and I just shot, and we'll have the show notes there as well. So I do want to remind you that I'm open and willing. If you go over there to YouTube, subscribe, leave us a comment, give us some feedback. And if you're interested in being on the show yourself, just let me know. We would love to talk with you and get you in the queue here. We're booking up fast. We've got most of the remainder of this year committed, but would love to get you in the schedule and get you on air. So we're here to talk about everything small business and helping you become a better business leader at what you're doing and the way you can help your community with your expertise. So for now, we're going to say goodbye and thank you very much. Hope to see you again real soon. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Leadership Powered by Common Sense, hosted by Doug Thorpe. If you would like to know more about the coaching and advisory services he provides, visit dougthorpe.com.